Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. We are continuing on covering all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! News that came out over the past week. I was on vacation, apologies for that, but we're catching up all right now, giving you these videos as we go. Next up here today, we have the new Fire King support. There were 3 more new cards revealed, which I believe leaves us 1 more new slot for the deck. Once we go through these, I'll talk about what I think it could be and what I want it to do, and what I think they just need left from the rest of the stuff. So hopefully it's good. We'll see. Let's start off with these, though. Let's just get into it. Starting off here, we have a new main deck monster. This is, also, by the way, just to preface this, I actually think the first 4 cards for this support were actually pretty nasty. The new rank 8 plus the new rank 8, the new level 8, the new spell. Actually, both level. Honestly, all 4 of the first 4 cards for this were really solid cards. I actually think this deck has a little bit of legs going forward, but we'll talk about that a little more because these cards definitely add some context to where the deck is. But let's get to it. This first card is Fire King Avatar Hanuman. Hanuman? Whatever. This is a level 4 Fire Beast Warrior. So this is actually a tanky target. 1600 attack, 200 defense. That's also really important for rekindling, I believe. That could definitely come up here. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, if a face-up Fire King monster or monsters you control is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Second effect, when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, quick effect. You can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy one other fire monster in your hand or face-up field. So this is kind of a counterpart to Fire King Avatar Arvata, I believe. He kind of does a similar thing, but he's a monster negate, not a spell and trap negate. And then the other difference is he's not an extender. So he actually has a float when he's destroyed by card effect. This guy does not, but he's able to jump out of the hand when any other Fire King card or monster you control is destroyed. So you have a little bit of trade-off there. I think this is nice for the deck, but I don't think it's like out of this world crazy. I think we will definitely play this card. He's probably not more than a 2 of. I think at most he's probably a 2 of. I think at 3 feels a little bit too cloggy because you can only extend him once per turn. Plus you have ways to like pull him out of the deck. So I think you'll probably do that a decent amount of the time as well for when you're trying to play around specific answers or cards your opponent might be activating. But all in all, I think he's nice. The deck has a lot of removal, has the Arvata monster negation, but didn't really have any way to answer spell and trap cards. This is a nifty effect that the deck definitely welcomes, but I don't think it like breaks the deck by any means. Nice card, not insane, for sure. But that's okay because the core 4 cards we've already gotten are like the big ones. Moving on, we have Fire King Sacred Immolation. This is a quick play spell. Quick play spell, very good. You can only use you can only use one of the first and second effects once per turn each, so you cannot use both in the same turn, but 2 effects. First effect says, target any same number of Fire King monsters you control and cards your opponent controls as cost, destroy them. Second effect, if a Fire King card or cards you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So let's start with the second effect real quick. This is fine. I don't think this second effect really does all that much to help the deck because like you want your stuff to get destroyed a lot of the time. Plus it only protects you from destruction by card effect anyway. If this actually gave battle protection as well, it'd be a little more relevant because your whole deck triggers when they're destroyed by card effects specifically, not battle. So like being able to protect yourself by battle could have made it more annoying for your opponent to like deal with your boards, but okay, I guess there could be scenarios where you're not able to capitalize when something's destroyed, so you do want to protect your stuff just because. But other than that, that's not that relevant. The first effect is really the big one, and really what I think is this card is just a good, solid, flexible card. Technically, it's searchable. We'll talk about that a little more on, because it is a Fire King spell. But decent going first, decent going second. That's why quick play spells are so good, is like they have that utility of going first or second, plus this allows you to like dodge certain things when your opponent's trying to interrupt you, which is cool. And when you do, you're popping your own guys, so then your guys are triggering and other stuff is popping off and you're getting resources back. You're recouping them while your opponent isn't. The only thing I could really gripe about this card is like it targets and it says destroy them. I believe when cards have this specific text of destroy them, it means if one of the targets is not on field anymore, it destroys nothing. So like in a scenario where like your opponent tries to go after one of your monsters and you chain this, targeting that monster in something your opponent controls, and your opponent has another chainable card to like remove that monster again as a third chain link. If that monster is not there to be destroyed, I don't think you destroy anything. I believe that's what this text generally means in terms of ruling. So it can be worked around in some instances, but I still think it's a good card overall. A quick play spell like this is just solid overall. So I don't know if it's necessarily a full-on 3 of, but I think a 1 of or a 2 of for sure, because it is technically searchable off of Barong, but it's so slow off of Barong, which is kind of brutal. But we'll talk about that again in a little bit. But pretty good card. I think this is a nice, just good utility card for the deck for sure. And the last card we have here for the new Fire King stuff is Solidarity Strike of the Fire Kings. It's a normal trap. You can only use its first and second effect once per turn. Special summon a Fire Beast Warrior, and a Fire Wing Beast, one each from hand, deck, and graveyard, but their effects are negated. Also destroy them during the end phase. You can banish this card from your graveyard. This turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when your Fire King monster is normal or special summoned. That's fine. That second effect is I think, meant to be utilized for, I believe, when the new continuous spell is on the field. It like says if your opponent special summons, you can do an Exceed summon immediately. So if this card summons 2 level 8s and then your opponent specials, you can then just make the Exceed the rank 8, and then if you already had banished this card, then your opponent just straight up can't respond to him, and he destroys all other cards or all their monsters on field. It's a pretty powerful card to resolve in your opponent's turn, and not being able to respond to it makes it even more problematic. So that's cool. That's a nifty little bonus effect, but obviously the first effect is the main one. It is, honestly, it comes off to me like a worse Revolt, a Tri-Brigade Revolt. I think the big difference here is that this needs a card in hand. It's not just graveyard or banish. Like, the deck is nice. The graveyard is definitely workable. But hand, the fact that you have to have one in hand kind of messes with me. Plus, their effects are negated, so it's not like we can summon Arvata and summon the new guy Hanuman. And then go from there. If it, like their effects would be live to have like a monster and a spell or trap negate. Unfortunately, that's definitely a big negative here. They are destroyed on the end phase, so anything that would float is floating. Plus, if you have the continuous spell, this does just summon the materials to make the continuous spell live for that ability to make an Exceed on the opponent's turn, which can still be powerful. But to me, I think the biggest gripe I have with this card is it's searchable, but it's only searchable off Barong, and he adds on the next standby phase, which is really, really rough. Right? Not only is this a trap, but you would have to, like, even if you go first and pop Barong on your first turn, you would be searching this card on the next, I believe it's next standby. If not, it's end phase, and either way, you can't really make use of this card. Then that turn, it would be dead. Your next turn, turn 3, still dead because you have to set it, and then it would be live for turn 4. That is the only way this deck searches this card at this moment in time. The deck has multiple ways to search Fire King monsters, but not the spells and traps. That's my biggest gripe with the support to this point. Now, to be clear, I believe based on the artwork in this card, it looks like they're kind of alluding to the fact that there's a new Barong form, like a bigger Barong, high avatar form. So I'm almost expecting one of two things: either maybe a rank 4, or another level 8 like monster to add to the deck. And if it's Barong, I really hope it just straight up searches spells and traps. Maybe any card in the archetype, whatever, that's fine, as long as it's not too slow like regular Barong is, searching on the next turn. Because then this trap becomes much more interesting, right? Play it as a one-off, because you can actually get access to it that turn 1, set it and have it live for turn 2. Or same thing, get Immolation. Like, Immolation gets way better in that instance, and playing it as a maybe a 2 of or a 3 of right now becomes a 1 over a 2 because it's just way more accessible. That's the big thing I feel like is missing right now, is access to the spells and traps, because now we have some really good ones, but you have to hard draw them at this point, or you search them too slowly off Barong. We need a way to get to them super quickly. So if it is a rank 4 that maybe just searches a spell or trap, I'm into that, because then just like generic rank 4 like engines or packages can be applied to this deck, and we can try to get things going that way. That could be a way to boost the deck. Or if it's, like I said, a new, level 8, that works as well, as long as it's like a decently accessible extender or whatever starter card. Like I'm down for that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to see something to that degree get me access to my spells and traps, because this trap right now, I believe, is unplayable in the deck right now. I just don't think it really makes sense. There's a world where this deck is better going second than going first anyway, which means you don't even want the trap anyway. And even if you do go first, you just can't consistently search this card in a what's the word I'm looking for? Convenient enough way to really make it make sense, in my opinion. Let me know if I'm wrong. That's just my impression of what I've been, looking at the cards and kind of doing some research on. Let me know if I'm off base on that, but that's kind of where I land at the moment. All in all, the support looks really cool. Hopefully the last card comes through. We still have like a month, I think like almost exactly 4 weeks before this support actually drops in the OCG, so probably another 2 or 3 weeks before we get that last card. Let's really, really hope that it connects us to the spells and traps in a meaningful way. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys. Sorry I rambled a little bit too long on just 3 new cards, but I really want to get my thoughts out there on what I want to see on the for the final card as well. Let me know what you guys think down below, not just from these 3 cards. You could definitely let me know from these 3 cards, but also where you think the structure deck is right now and what you really want to see from the last card. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that down below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Subscribe if you have not yet. Got a lot coming, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.